Hi, I'm Shannon Shipman, Purdue Extension, Ohio County Health and Human Sciences and 4-H Youth Development Educator. And with me today is Jessica Coons, our University of Indianapolis Public Health intern, and here we are going to talk about the 10 places to clean in your kitchen. Okay, so let's talk about some gross places in our kitchen. The first place, our handles. So I have a 10-month-old and a 5-year-old at my house, and they're into everything. And I often find that when I go to reach for something, I can feel dried food on it or something like that, little sticky, because they're super helpful when it comes to cleaning things up around the house. So for example, one of the ways we want to clean our handles is to use some type of bacteria killing soap and water mixture with a rag, and we want to go ahead and just scrub and remove those germs off of that handle, so that if the kids do try to grab it, or if I need to grab it and unload those clean dishes that are in the dishwasher, I'm not taking those germs with me onto those clean dishes.
And how often do you do that, Shannon?
So I try to wipe my dishwasher handles as well as my refrigerator handles down at least a couple of times a week, if not more. It just kind of depends on what's going on and how many times my 5-year-old has gotten into the fridge to get who knows what snack out. So it just kind of depends. But I usually try to do it a couple of times a week. Okay, so Jess, let's talk about cleaning the sink.
Yeah, for sure. So the sink is actually one area that you may not think of all the time that needs cleaning, because you may think you have water running through it all the time, you have soap going through it, but it is a very germy area, especially if you've been using any food products that have meat or egg in them. You definitely want to be cleaning your sink out once you've washed everything that has those contents on it.
Okay.
So we have been looking up different ways that you can clean your sink and your drain and make sure everything is disinfected that way. So behind me here, we have some baking soda and some white distilled vinegar, and then we would also mix that with some boiling water and put all of that together in the sink and let it sit, and then scrub it down so that you know that your sink is clean. And you want to do that before and after. So like before you put your dishes in, clean them, and then sanitize them afterwards.
Right. And I will tell you, as a mom of a young one that's still on bottles, I try to clean and sanitize my sink every time before I wash bottles if I don't run them through the dishwasher. Just to be on the safe side, because heaven forbid any of that bacteria from when I cooked chicken or anything like that will get onto those bottles. That could possibly make an infant sick. So we always want to make sure you clean and sanitize that sink, especially after you've cooked and before you cooked, because who knows, what's gone down your drain before. So we want to make sure not only do we sanitize the sink, but we also want to make sure that we clean the handles that we're going to be touching, rub the faucet that we're going to be touching, especially if you have one of those touchless faucets. You want to make sure that stays clean. Your soap dispensers, all of those things, you want to make sure you wipe those down at least whenever you do the dishes, and make sure you spray some type of disinfectant spray on them, or use a disinfectant soap to clean them off after you're done using them. Okay, so Jess, let's talk one more thing about gross stuff in our kitchen. Sponges.
Yes.
They're gross. They can carry a lot of bacteria. A lot of bacteria. In fact, some sponges, if you just go ahead and try to disinfect them, like using a solution of bleach or lemon juice, whatever, you're only killing anywhere from 37 to 87% of the bacteria. However, if you want to keep the sponge, if you're very much attached to it, and instead of just going and buying new ones every so often, you can easily microwave your sponge by wetting it. Make sure you wet it, because else you can set it on fire in the microwave. Not speaking from experience. Anyway, so you want to microwave it for 2 minutes, and that kills about 99.98% of the bacteria. Or if you really want to get it nice and clean and sanitized, you can run your sponges through your dishwasher, which will kill about 99.999% of the bacteria that's in your sponge, and then you can reuse it. Exactly. Okay, so another area that we want to think about cleaning and the importance of cleaning it is our rugs that are hanging out in our kitchen. Whether they're in a high traffic area like by the fridge, whether in their cooking area by the stove, or whether they're in the area by where you're doing dishes. The dishwasher can get onto them, food juices can get onto them, bacteria can get onto them. And especially if you have little ones that are crawling around on the floor and they touch that bacteria with their hand goes to their mouth, that can make them sick. So we want to make sure that we wipe our rugs down as well, especially just knowing that bacteria can be there. So as a preventive measure, we want to make sure we wipe them down. And we also want to make sure that even if we spill something on these rugs or something in the kitchen, that we clean it up immediately, because that can be a fall hazard.
So another area that you want to make sure to clean is your refrigerator. So it's really good to clean it probably every like 1 to 2 weeks, just so you can make sure you're wiping everything down. But as we mentioned, if you have a spill or anything, you obviously want to clean that up as well. So right here, I have 1 tablespoon of baking soda and then a quart of water mixture, and it's warm water, so that we can go ahead and dip that in with a washcloth. And then we're just gonna go ahead and clean one of the shelves. So we'll move some stuff over and wipe that down. And this is a good mixture because it's also environmentally friendly, because as I said, it's just baking soda and water. So now that we just cleaned our fridge, it's also important to make sure that we're cleaning our stove too. And it's the same mixture that you would use to clean both. So this one is actually 2 tablespoons of baking soda and then 1 quart of the warm water. So over here, I'll go ahead and clean the stove, but you want to make sure that you're cleaning your stove before and after use. Obviously after, you're going to have more of a mess, but before, it's also really important, just so if you think about it, if you were standing there in the middle of your day and you had your hand on it or something like that, or you have kids that may have been messing around and had things on top of the stove or whatever, you just want to be thinking about those things that could have put bacteria on there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this, and then we'll head to our next one.
Okay, so when it comes to food prep, we always want to make sure that our cutting boards have been cleaned and sanitized, and we want to make sure that we clean and sanitize in between each type of food that we're going to be working with. Because, for example, if you're cutting up strawberries and then those strawberries happen to be contaminated with something, you could then transfer that bacteria from the strawberries to the oranges you're cutting up, or the bananas, or whatever's next on your list. So we want to make sure that we go ahead and clean and sanitize our cutting boards. So I'm actually going to get ready to put some chicken out. So I've cleaned and sanitized my countertops, I've washed my hands, my cutting board is cleaned and sanitized, and now I'm going to go ahead and get out some of this raw chicken, or frozen chicken, and prepare it to put in my crock pot for dinner. And so what I'm going to do is pull these slices out, pop them in my microwave so that they thaw, because we never want to put frozen chicken or frozen meat into our crock pot, because it doesn't come up to temperature fast enough to kill some of that bacteria. So we always want to make sure that we thaw our meats before going in the crock pot. So I'm going to go ahead and thaw these and throw them in my crock pot, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to disinfect my countertop. So our chicken's been put in the crock pot. We've got it set to high so that it'll cook and be ready to go by the time we get home from work and after school activities tonight. But now it's time to make sure we go ahead and clean up and sanitize our kitchen countertops that may have come in contact with any of those raw chicken juices. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my dish rag, and in this bucket I have mixed up a solution of Pine Sol antibacterial and just some warm water with my rag. And I'm going to go ahead and wipe down my countertops to make sure that they are all clean and ready to be sanitized. And what we're going to do is we're going to let our countertops dry, and then we're just going to go over it with just a little bit of bleach just to make sure that we've killed all those bacteria that might be on the countertop.
So while we're waiting for the countertops to dry, we're going to go ahead and clean our microwave, because we just put some raw chicken in there, and we want to make sure we get any of those like splatters of juice that may have come up when we were cooking that. So I'm going to go ahead and open it here, and our mixture that we're going to use for the microwave is vinegar, vegetable oil, and also baking soda. So we mix that in here first, and now I'm just going to take a dish rag and go ahead and clean the microwave. So you've got all the way around, and then you just want to make sure you go through the whole microwave just in case you have any splatters anywhere.
Okay, so now that our countertops are dry, we've got our microwave clean, we're just going to lightly disinfect and sanitize with just a little bit of bleach cleanup spray, and then wipe it down with some paper towels. Dry, and then are ready to be used for whatever activity you have planned now.